The following episode describes in detail reported speculation and alleged whereabouts of a missing person and unproven reports of actions taken by family members, friends, and other relations. Listener discretion is advised. In the spring of 1991, 37-year-old Donald B. Wallace disappeared. Donald was diagnosed with schizophrenia as a teenager and had a history of mental illness. He had 2 steel rods in his back from an injury he sustained earlier in life. But that didn't stop him from walking everywhere. It was really what Donald was known best for in Worcester. He was last seen on April 2nd, 1991, standing at the corner of Park Avenue and Main Street by his mother as she was driving by in her car. More than 30 years later, we're still asking the same question. Where did Donald Wallace walk off to?
Unsolved Worcester is brought to you by the following sponsors. Follow the crowd through the doors of Donut Homies and say hi to Haley Noel, the donut queen of Worcester's Canal District. This month, the specialty donut shop features special flavors like birthday cake and salted caramel cheesecake. Donut Homies is open inside the Worcester Public Market at 160 Green Street every Wednesday through Sunday at 11 a.m. Online ordering with delivery and pickup options is available at donuthomies.com. Follow Donut Homies on Facebook and Instagram for monthly menu drops, specials, and more. Donut Homies, everything sweeter with the homies.
Welcome to Unsolved Worcester. I'm your host, Dan Yeager. In today's episode, we share the unsolved missing person case of Donald Wallace, one of 10 unsolved missing person stories we'll share this season on Unsolved Worcester. Donald was reported missing in late May 1991, nearly 2 months after he was last seen standing at the corner of May Street and Park Avenue in Worcester. Unsolved Worcester will take a deep dive every Tuesday and Thursday into the unsolved murders and missing persons cases under investigation by the Worcester Police Department's Detective Unit. We will be looking to the past, to missing person cases that date as far back as the early 1970s and 80s. The most important question this season is, where are they? The approach to Unsolved Worcester is this: shine a light on each of these cases, put a life behind each missing person's name, provide a timeline of events and important details, and ask questions that still need to be answered. Our goal is to remind residents of the Worcester area, both past and present, that there are dozens of unsolved homicides and missing persons cases that need resolution. We hope we can be the spark needed to solve a case. Donald Wallace was last seen by his mother while he was standing at the corner of May Street and Park Avenue on April 2nd, 1991. His mother, Barbara Wallace, thought he may have been waiting to meet someone or waiting for the bus. He shaved off his beard and his hair. He was wearing white painter's pants. He was employed as a painter when he disappeared. He was also wearing a light-colored shirt, a light blue hat, and a neck chain with a cross on it. All he was carrying was a tote bag, which likely contained medical supplies and adult diapers. There are some reports that Donald might have been pushing a grocery cart with more of his belongings. Donald was living in an apartment at the Webster Square Towers at 1060 Main Street at the time of his disappearance. Donald is white. He's 6 feet tall and weighed just under 200 pounds. He has brown hair and blue eyes. Donald has a scar on his back from when he had steel rods implanted following a spinal cord injury. He has a scar on the inner side of his left arm. In early 1991, roughly 5 weeks after Donald was reported missing, his father, William Wallace, told the Telegram and Gazette they were concerned Donald had a psychotic breakdown. A particular interest to Donald was religion. He had studied Hare Krishna, and he may have been using aliases when he vanished, including Pak Bekchak or Sri Jnani Yogi. Donald's family described him as thoughtful, strong, funny, and loving. You might be wondering what took Donald Wallace's family so long to report him missing. Donald was something of a loner. He was a rambler. His family would go weeks on end without hearing from him, till he showed up at his mother's home in West Boylston or his father's home in Auburn, walking there all the way from his apartment on Main Street in Worcester. Barbara Wallace reported her son missing on May 27, 1991, roughly 7 weeks after she drove by Donald while he was standing at the corner of Park Avenue and Main Street on April 2nd. Mail that Barbara had sent Donald was returned to her in late May. She learned Donald hadn't picked up his mail since April 1st, the day before Donald was last seen. Barbara and Donald's father, William Wallace, met with the manager of the Webster Square Towers, who informed them Donald hadn't been seen since April 1st. Donald's belongings were all cleared out of his apartment, except for a box of diapers and a sculpture he had made. The apartment was thoroughly cleaned. Donald's family assumed he cleaned the apartment out himself. For years, his family was hopeful he would turn up again, because this wasn't the first time Donald had gone missing. According to reports, Donald had left Worcester before and ended up in Dallas, Texas. The story in the Telegram and Gazette states that Donald was arrested in Dallas for causing a disturbance in a church there. Coming up, the Wallace family hires some outside-of-the-box help to assist in their search for Donald. In late October 1991, more than 6 months after Donald Wallace was last seen, his family decided to look to the stars for some answers. Donald's father, William, called an astrologer from Shrewsbury who offered to provide her services to the Wallace family for free. The astrologer shared an astrological chart reading that identified 3 locations that could be of help finding Donald: a lake or body of water, railroad tracks, and a cemetery. She also mentioned a golf course might be nearby. The West Boylston Police Department followed the astrologer's leads and searched an area in town behind Donald's mother's home and near Wachusett Country Club golf course. The area included the Wachusett Reservoir, nearby railroad tracks, and Mount Vernon Cemetery. Volunteers joined West Boylston police officers and search dogs from Massachusetts Air Scent Canine to scour the area in hopes of finding any clues. But the search didn't provide any new information. In 1994, the family published an ad in Spare Change, a newspaper for homeless people in Boston, hoping that someone who saw the ad had seen Donald walking through the city. A few years later, in October 1996, the popular CBS show 48 Hours featured Donald's disappearance during a program that showcased another man from Hawaii with schizophrenia who also had gone missing. Over the years, Donald's family would also try to get the attention of other popular nationally televised programs, sending packets of information about Donald to shows like America's Most Wanted and Unsolved Mysteries. For nearly 15 years, Donald's family continued extensive efforts to find him. But over 30 years later, there's still no answers as to what happened to Donald Wallace. And his parents died following years of only speculation about their son's whereabouts. Donald's mother, Barbara, passed away in 2005. His father, William, died 12 years later in 2017. Donald Wallace was declared legally dead in 2005, around the same time his mother died. If he is still alive today, Donald would be 69 years old. Thank you for listening. I'm Dan Yeager. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please consider clicking the like button for us. And if you subscribe, the next episodes will show up in your feed. Click the bell on the right and select all, and you'll get another notification of when the next episode is ready. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. We do read them all and respond to as many as we can. Anyone with information about what happened to Donald Wallace are asked to contact the Worcester Police Detective Bureau at 508-799-8651 or send an anonymous text to 274-637. Write TIPWPD plus your message or send an anonymous web-based message at worcesterma.gov/police. Come back on Thursday. Season 3 of Unsolved Worcester continues with the disappearances of William Garlick and John V.J. Joyce Jr., a missing persons case fit for a movie reel. William and John left Worcester in September 1982 and allegedly traveled to Maine to collect a debt of $22,000 on behalf of a local drug kingpin. William's black 1980 Corvette was found abandoned in a shopping mall parking lot in Bangor. The men haven't been seen since. Be sure to visit Unsolved Worcester on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Unsolved Worcester. Listen to all episodes for free at unsolvedworcester.com and on podcast streaming platforms including Spotify, Apple, Audible, and more. Special thanks to Worcester Public Library, the Worcester Police Department, the City of Worcester, Ron Scott at New England Skypicks, and our sponsors for making this possible. Information on the disappearance of Donald Wallace was gathered from multiple resources, including the Telegram and Gazette, the Charlie Project, the Doe Network, and more. The Unsolved Worcester podcast music is provided by Tom LaBelzik of the Worcester Jazz Collective. This episode of Unsolved Worcester is written and produced by Pat Sargent. Drone footage provided by New England Skypicks. Videography and editing by Colin Turner. Victim images are courtesy of the Worcester Police Department. Sponsorship information announcer Chandler Walsh. Be sure to check out the video for this episode with exclusive aerial views and more on our Unsolved Worcester YouTube page. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss another episode. Click the notification button to get alerts when new episodes of Unsolved Worcester drop. This program is supported in part by a grant from the Worcester Arts Council and the National Endowment for the Arts. To find out more about how National Endowment for the Arts grants impact individuals and communities, visit www.arts.gov.